I do want to talk a little bit about dopamine itself because people who have ADHD have low levels of dopamine, and we're always seeking dopamine. Now, I didn't know this probably, I don't know, until 10 or 15 years ago when it started to, be mainstream things that people talked about or knew about. But after I learned about it, it was a huge epiphany because I'm like, oh my gosh. It allowed me to see like all the ways that I would be seeking dopamine.
Oh, yeah.
Like crazy different ways. Caffeine, sugar, something new, shopping, social media, likes, like even my business, you guys. Like we were in a launch last week, so I'm checking things. Oh, what's the email open rate? Oh, how many people joined our program? Like getting your dopamine from places where it's like,
yeah, that's so funny because I remember last year when we first started the podcast, and I would literally go check the downloads on each episode, like so much just to like get a dopamine hit.
Yes.
And I'm like, let me see.
Let me see. Yeah. And so it is like a motivation type chemical. So not even really a pleasure chemical. I think some people see it as like a pleasure chemical, but it's more like an anticipation, motivation type chemical. And so if you already have a deficit of dopamine, you will find yourself seeking it in different ways. Now you can get it in quick ways, which we're calling cheap dopamine. So you can get it from eating sugar. You can get it from scrolling social media. You can get it from buying cute tops online. You can get it from a million ways. And you know the difference in what would be kind of a cheap way of doing it versus getting dopamine from a really fulfilling, sustainable way. And we'll talk about this at the end, but more like
working out.
Something that requires some effort from you. So you're working out, or you're doing a journaling session, or you're going for a walk, or you're connecting with someone, like really connecting versus like scrolling social media. And I think we all kind of know the difference in when we're just seeking a quick, like
pleasure,
quick way of dopamine, or if it's something that, we are earning the dopamine in a way. Or
I feel like too, the cheap dopamine or the quick dopamine is usually a distraction from the thing that will give you
it is
real
good insight.
Good dopamine. Because most of the time I notice that I like almost not even on purpose go to scroll on my phone when I actually know I have to do something. Like I'm putting off, it's almost like a procrastination of the thing that I know will actually give me that like feeling of satisfaction.
Yes.
Whether it be work or working out or whatever. It's so much easier to have that quick.
The quick. And we were talking about this when we were, talking about what we wanted to say in the episode. And you were saying like, yeah, if I get up in the morning and I start my day with scrolling, then it's hard to recover because now you've got your brain sort of conditioned for cheap dopamine.
Well, it's like straight up in the morning, right when you wake up, giving your brain that satisfaction. And it's really, really hard, especially if you have an ADHD type of brain, to get back to that level that you hit in the morning. So then trying to reach other long forms of dopamine throughout the day is a lot harder because your brain has already experienced that peak right in the morning.
Yes.
And I don't remember the podcast I listened to where they talked about this, but they were like, even something as simple as like, I mean, it is hard for me because my Oura Ring, I love to check my Oura Ring stats like
I do like to check
right
my
when I wake
stats.
up, and
yes,
I feel like actually it's such a excuse because I'm like, oh well, I'll just get on my phone to check my Oura Ring, and I know that what that leads to most mornings is me going on Instagram or checking other things.
Yeah.
But what they say is like if you could wake up and make your bed or
something else that
still gives you that boost, like oh, I feel good about that, other than just straight up going to
and we were talking about it's not necessarily just the screen because most of the time pretty quick after I wake up I like to do some of my deeper work in the morning. So if I'm working on writing a new class or I'm working on an email or I'm working on something like that, I like to do that first thing in the morning.
On your computer.
And I'm sure that's a dopamine hit, but for me, that's like, I'm really doing work. It's like a creation type of dopamine versus a consumption type of dopamine.
And you have to use your brain.
And you have to, you have to decide like, no, this is what I want to be doing. And it's kind of like, that's the difference of whether you're doing it intentionally or you just find yourself doing it out of boredom or out of just seeking dopamine or out of avoiding hard things, avoiding hard emotions can be a reason too. But like some of the signs of it would be like, it's hard to stay focused. Gosh, this is something that I've struggled with my whole life long. I'm way better at it now. But even now, what I will do is I will say, okay, I'm going to sit in this chair for 20 minutes and work. And then if I want to get up and walk around after that, like I'll play like little games in my head.
Yes.
But usually once I really get into the work,
you want to keep
then
going.
I want to keep going or I want to finish it. But I will find that I naturally, after about 30, 45 minutes, need a little, like a mental break.
Right.